Hello Stage 3, welcome to the first of our THRASS lessons for Term 4. This term we are going to be looking at different words that appear or may appear in our science investigation unit, all about adaptations and changes amongst living things. So the words that we're going to look at throughout these THRASS videos are related to that, and each lesson I have grouped those words with a common theme or a common pattern as well. So let's get started with THRASS lesson number 1. Let's have a look at the words that we've got here today. We have adaptation, investigation, migration, hibernation, variation, and mutation. Some fantastic scientific words there. Thinking about what is the common theme that links all of these words together, hopefully you can see fairly easily that all of these words contain the same ending. Not just the shun sound, but actually they all end with ation at the end. And let's take a look at the THRASS chart to see how those different sounds are put together with grapheme choices. Here we can see, and we touched on this last term, that we have the shun sound, which I've circled with each of the graphemes in red. We have the sh sound here, made with TI, amongst other options for sh, of course, SH and CH. We have the sh made with TI. The vowel sound that comes out in the sound shun is the grapheme choice of O, but it's actually in my favourite box. It is a schwa sound, which is more of an sound. So we have sh, and n as well. So we have the shun sound. And we also, as you can see, prior to the shun sound in all of these examples, we have another vowel sound, and it's actually this A sound here that comes from the A box. It's made with a simple grapheme, the grapheme choice of the letter A, and it actually makes a long vowel A sound as well. So here are all of our words with ation at the end. And I just wanted to focus in on one of these words to look at something interesting in particular. I wanted to have a look at the word variation. Now the word variation comes from this root word vary, which means to change. You can see the word vary is spelled with graphemes V-A-R-Y. V-A-R-Y. The word vary ends with this Y sound, which if we look back at the THRASS chart is part of the E box, very. So it's acting as an actual vowel, this Y. Even though it's usually a consonant, it's acting as a vowel to make very. But when we actually take this root word vary and we turn it into vary and we put the ation on the end, variation, we need to take that Y grapheme, which is acting as an E vowel sound, and we actually need to change it to the grapheme choice of the letter I. Now, if you listen to the word vary and then you listen to the word variation, the actual phoneme sound remains the same. We had an E at the end of vary, and we have variation. So the E sound, the actual phoneme sound has remained the same, but the grapheme has changed. And that's because we have added a portion to this word, or we have added on to this word, and we have used a vowel to begin the adding, to begin what we have added on. So we actually do need to change this here. I wonder if you can think of any other examples of a word, a base word, for example, vary. So another base word that ends with a Y grapheme, making an E sound, that would change if you added Asian, or if you added something else that started with a vowel sound, a vowel phoneme sound. You might like to write some ideas down if you can think of that. Pause the video, and if you can think of some ideas, that would be really great. You could add those to your page. Go for it if you can. Of course, as always, we have our THRASS task. What I would like you to do is rule up your page with your 5 columns, a column for each word, to thrass out each of your words, to write your word in syllables. Don't forget to show the breakdown of the syllables of your word, so actually writing the words into its syllables and recording the number of syllables you can hear or count. A column for your definition and a column for synonyms. Now, can I encourage you, when you get to defining each of your words, yes, it's very easy to simply Google the word that you have got in your list of words, and to write down an exact definition that Google gives you or dictionary.com gives you. But I really would like to encourage you to try and define the word in a way that makes sense to you. Okay, and a way that would make sense to another person if you were going to explain it to them. And the same for the synonyms as well. If you find a synonym for this word by Google searching, for example, but you don't know what that word means, probably don't add it. If there are other options that you do recognize and you do understand, I would add those synonyms. Or you might like to dig a little deeper. If you find a synonym that you're not sure actually what that word means, but it's listed as a synonym, you might want to dig a little deeper and find out what that synonym means before you add it to your list. Okay, so we want this to be meaningful and to make sense to you. So don't just copy things out as they appear and not think about them. Make sure that it makes sense to you and you could explain it to someone else before you add it to your list. And of course, as always, your extension task, if you can get to that point where you are smashing out your thrashing very quickly, you might like to write each of your list words in IPA as well. So I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to have a go at filling in your table. So press pause, and we'll be back in a second. Okay. Hopefully you have got a completely filled in table now according to the 6 words at the start of this video. I'm going to give you an example of the answers that you might have on your page. So all of the thrashing and all of the syllables, I want you to self-mark. So have a look at what I've got, and I want you to mark your own. And if you've made an error, that's fine. Mistakes help us to learn and grow, so I want you to correct the error. Don't just put a cross and go, oh, well, I got that one wrong. Pop a cross there and then correct, okay? Learn from your mistake and correct yourself. And I've given you an example of definitions and synonyms. By all means, you can mark your work against the definitions and synonyms that I've got, but you might have things that are slightly different, and slightly different is completely fine. As we talked about earlier in the video, you want your definition to make sense to you. You want your synonyms to be something that you understand. So you might not have put conversion down because you might not have really known what the word conversion means, but I've put that down because I know what it means, but you might have something a little bit different. Okay, so you can actually, you could use a thesaurus.com to double check your synonyms. If you've got something a little bit different, that's okay. But use this to mark your work. You might want to pause the video and use it for marking. Otherwise, well done, and we'll be back with the next lesson soon.